Shooters Connection offers products for competition shooters by competition shooters. With over 80 years of combined competition shooting experience, Shooters Connection is staffed by master and grandmaster shooters who live the shooting sports every day. We offer same-day shipping. Shooters Connection also sponsors over 100 of your matches every single year. So when it comes to finding everything you need to compete as a beginner or a seasoned grandmaster, Shooters Connection is the only name you need to know. Online at shootersconnectionstore.com.
Just us tonight. Jeff was socialized out. You know, there was a bunch of horticulture talk, I think, in the pre-show last week. And I don't think Jeff could take a whole lot more horticulture talk. So he said, I don't want those people back on. Isn't that what you told me?
Yeah, it's word for word what I said.
Yeah. No, not really. If you guys did not catch the last episode with Jeff and Potato, otherwise known as Real Jeremy, I think, and Tyler Turner and Jay Beal, it was actually really, really great. It was an entertaining but also insightful episode. So you guys should go.
You seem so surprised,
Jeremy.
You're like, it was actually good. Actually, even though I wasn't there, it was pretty good.
No, it's not. It's not that surprised. What I was disappointed in you in that show. I was expecting more, and what I did not get is you let those guys just come off like they're friends. Which, look, I get it. Like they started talking trees and all this stuff, and they became best friends. Like I think it was. What is that? What is that movie? It's not Rocky. I know that. What is the movie where Will Ferrell and the other guy with curly hair?
Yeah, Step Brothers.
Is that it? Where they I feel like that happened with Tyler and Jay a little bit last week.
I watched it happen. It's like I was trying to get this beef going. It was going to be this rivalry, and like before I could even hit record, they were best friends.
Yeah, so that was my disappointment. I feel like you let them off easy, and I think there's more beef there that they were being nice and polite. So maybe we can encourage that beef to grow a little bit more, and we can get them. You know, a jilted lover is there's no other hate like a jilted lover. So maybe they can become friends. Maybe they can become friends, and then we can kind of put a wedge between them. That's my long-term goal at this point.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are. We're going to answer a bunch of questions this week. I'll talk a little bit about the Wyoming Governor's Cup, which Jeff recapped like the results of that from last week. So what that match is, you know, there are some matches where I get really frustrated with stage design and things like that. And there are other matches where I just view those matches as fun matches. I don't view them as serious matches. And so I just don't get that upset about stage design at that point and what they are. This is the first time I'd shot the Wyoming Governor's Cup, which is really like, it's a pretty cool match. They often do a different format from year to year. I think next year, it's going to be a 2-gun match. It has been a 3-gun match, I'm pretty sure, in the past. So these last couple of years, it's been USPSA. And so I don't know what it'll be going forward, but so it's kind of a unique match. And what it was going in, I shot limited, and I did that for a reason because the average round count, roughly, I didn't do the actual math. The average round count was 40 rounds per stage. And so it's like, I don't want to take a single stack gun and be reloading to my 6th pouch every stage. I just don't want to do that. I did. There was a guy there that was fairly obviously newish to the sport, and he was shooting that match with a mil-spec 45.
Wow.
I mean, like true mil-spec, like tiny little sights, no beaver tail. I mean, like the old GI style beaver tail, which his hand has just been bleeding after that many rounds. And it looked like he was shooting straight ball ammo, which is probably like 190 power factor.
No magwell, just like
no magwell, no nothing.
Nice.
Give that dude props. Like that's legit. hardcore right
Well,
there.
there was like 15 people shooting single stack at that match.
There were quite a few. Yeah, there were quite a few guys shooting single stack. The guy that won, Walt Prue, that won single stack, he's the guy that is he works for the state of Colorado, but he's the guy that manages Cameo in Grand Junction, the range there. So he shoots a lot of IDPA. He doesn't shoot a lot of USPSA typically, but his son was there. He had his son there, and so I think there was a contingent of Grand Junction folks that went out there, and a lot of them were shooting together and whatnot. So So that match. So what I was hoping going into that match, I was hoping that it was 40 round stages, and that they were just massive like just huge stages. Like, because they're on big bays. A lot of them are on rifle bays, and they have room. The bays were almost all of the bays were quite big, right, or at least quite deep, so you could make them long, right, if you wanted to. And so that's what I was hoping. It was just going to be ridiculous, huge stages all the time, lots of running, lots of movement. And honestly, what it really was is it was 40 rounds crammed into pretty small stages for the most part. There were a couple big ones, but for the most part, it was mostly just 40 rounds crammed into small ones. So
what was the lowest round count stage?
So there was one bay that had three stages in it. You just shot them one after the other, and that was, I think one was 10 rounds, one was like 13 rounds, and one was 14 rounds or something like that. So that bay, you were still at basically 40 rounds for that bay. It was just technically broken up, but it was almost like strings, because they were front to back in the base. You shot one, moved forward, shot the next stage, moved forward, shot the next stage. So other than that, I think there were a couple in like the 37 round, like 37 rounds. I think there was one there. Probably one of the more interesting stages of the match, there was legit 75-yard shooting. Ooh. On the match. So you had 4 targets that were spread out at 75, and the stage designers kind of messed up when they set it up, because you could shoot them all from 75 and engage all 4 boxes. You could run up to 50 yards. So it's still a 25-yard run. You could run up to 50 yards, and you could still see all 4 from the same position. You could run up to like 30 yards, and there were 2 boxes that were probably 15 yards apart, where you could only see 2 from each one. Or you could run all the way up to like 12 yards, and there were 4 boxes, which all 4 boxes were 12 yards apart each, and engage them that way. So the time did not make sense at all to run all the way forward. And there were some legit strategies there. So I shot it pretty well. There was actually really difficult shooting other than the 4 long targets. There was a bunch of zebras and hardcovers that were at, I don't know, probably 20 yards, I would guess, that shot from the first shooting area. So it was some legit shooting. And so you had to kind of make a decision on what do you think the hit factor is going to be? And we kind of knew there had been some scores submitted. So when we shot it, like the high hit factor at that point was around 5. Okay. So, at 5, a miss is worth 3 seconds. So then the challenge is in how long is it going to take you to run from 75 yards to 50 yards? And then you have to shoot 8. You have to engage 4 targets. And if it takes you 6 seconds, then you have to think that I can do that better, that I'm going to get more than 2 mics at 75 yards, right? If it's 6 seconds, and so on. So that was really kind of the big thing. And there was Eric Steiner shooting open. He shot it all at 75, and he had 4 mics on the stage, and he was 11 seconds faster than I was. And I had a pretty decent run with 1 mic, actually not on the far targets, on a close hardcover. Bummer. But he had 4 mics at the back targets, but he did it 11 seconds faster. So his 11 seconds, like he ate up all 4 of those mics just in time. Like it was worth the time. And he ended up with, I think it was like a 5.9 hit factor. I was a 4.8 with a single miss, so I probably would have been in like the 5.2, 5.3. I did it in 28 seconds. And so there was a legit strategy to just say, I'm going to be really fast at the back and accept several misses and be okay with that, because the math would play out. I had never shot an iron sighted gun at 75 yards. I mean, I've probably I shouldn't say I've never. I have probably shot at 100 yards before in the past, just messing around. Like, hey, can I hit something at 100? But I've never, like, I had practiced at 50. I had not practiced at 75. And so I was like, man, I have no idea. I don't know what my sight's going to look like at that distance. Like, will I see a target? I don't know what's going to. So I ran to 50 and got all my hits at 50. But that was tough, because that's a 25-yard run. Like you're sprinting for 25 yards, and it's like, oh, hey, let's try to nail down these targets at 50, right. 50 yards. So that was an interesting stage.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
I almost wish the stage designers had not put the forward boxes, and you had no choice but to engage it at 75 yards. I think that would have been actually kind of cooler at that point, because then everybody had to do it. And the interesting thing is there was no back berm, so you could really, especially with the 40, maybe not with a 9, like a round nose 9, but with the 40 and the bullets that I shoot, you could very easily hear the whack when it hit paper.
Oh, really?
Oh, I could audibly call. Like, I'm pretty sure I shot 3 at every target back there, but I went up there and, the first target, the sight's moving all over the place. You're breathing hard, and you're just kind of start firing rounds, because you got to limit a gun with a whole bunch of rounds. You start firing rounds, and the first 2 were not as controlled of a split as I wanted to, but I heard it hit paper both times. And I had already planned a third shot, so I was going to shoot it anyway, but it was a little bit like, dadgum, I could have just planned on just calling it audibly and just shoot till I hear 2 hits and then move on. And I could have got away with it, because I heard every hit that was there.
That's crazy. I don't think I've ever shot and been able to hear hits on paper.
Oh yeah. Once you get at like 50 yards and that distance, there's enough of a delay, especially if there's no back berm or the back berm's really soft. You won't hear it. You'll hear the hit on paper.
That's crazy.
Which is pretty fascinating, because I was calling other shooters hits as far as how, like, misses and what targets they had misses on while they were shooting.
Right.
And fairly accurately at that. So yeah, it was a fun match. I was glad I went. Bob won limited. He beat me by a large percentage. I mean, my takeaway from that match is kind of what I thought it was going to be. My practices, I've been really actually, I've found a level of consistency in practices lately that's been good, and accuracy, fundamentals are going well. And I was like, man, I may just not be pushing hard enough in practice, and that was really kind of what was brought to light shooting against Bob. There were some stages that I shot well, and didn't think there was a lot of meat on that bone, and he'd still put 2 seconds on me. And so, yeah, he's shooting really well, but it did very much confirm that, hey, I got to be a little more uncomfortable in practice. And I have been. I've had a couple live fire sessions since I've been back. I haven't been able to get a lot in, a couple short, like 100-round sessions. And just really pushing stuff as much as I can. And that's going to be the challenge. Can I maintain good fundamentals going faster? It's not just seeing faster. Part of that's seeing faster, but can I maintain all the other fundamentals?
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes it just takes you.
It's tough to push like that, to make yourself go faster than you want to when things are going well. It's like, you're like, damn, I'm doing so good. This feels good. And then you get like, and I think I did this like a whole year, honestly, probably like, I don't know what year it was, but it was a whole year where I just like basically shot comfortable and
Yeah.
you just get complacent. Yeah. You don't make any gains. You don't get any
Right.
better shooting that way.
Right. And so for me, like coming into the season, I needed to get faster coming into the season as well, but I didn't have anything to give up to go faster. I couldn't really even the quote unquote slow down and get your hits. Like even that wasn't there. Like the comfortable pace and be just really consistent. That
Yeah.
wasn't there. I
Okay.
feel like I am at this point in the season. Like I'm at a point where I have something to sacrifice
Mm.
to go faster,
Okay.
and part of that's just basically getting more comfortable being everything being less stable. Like I don't have to be as stable as I am. I don't think it's over confirmation. It's just less stable. And the challenge for me is to not just go buck wild and just say I'm just going to shoot fast and ignore everything else that I've been doing, but it's to try to just push the edge and still be
Mm-hmm.
and still do what I've been doing. That's going to be the challenge for me
Yeah.
if I can do that or not. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something I've kind of been working on the last few weeks since Area 4 when we were looking at all the scores in the Discord and comparing the timer with the limited shooters and stuff and seeing
Mm-hmm.
that they were engaging steals and stuff quicker and even when they had a makeup they were able to beat my time kind of deal because they were shooting sooner and making it up quicker than I could show
Yeah.
up, get stable, and make the shot. So I've actually got some steel this year. So this is the first time I've shot steel in practice in I think a couple years. Um, but so I've got some steel now, like some 8-inch steels, just round 8-inch steels. Anyway, so I've been working on that stuff, coming in, shooting quick, making makeup quick, uh, that kind of stuff, and it adds a whole new speed to the session. Was what it feels like,
Yeah.
you're yeah, it just adds a whole new speed to it, and it's been good. Building a lot of confidence on those shots by training that. So,
Yeah.
but it's along those same lines. You know, you're trying to push something. You're trying to give up your stability a little bit. Uh, those type of things.
Yeah. Like, I think there are some people who can be fairly comfortable going at a pace of the guys who are winning in this sport. Like that can be comfortable for them. And some of those guys are. For me, it's uncomfortable to go that pace. And so like I'm gonna have to push into that as much as I can and hopefully do so in a way that my fundamentals don't fall apart.
Mm,
And then be able to push hard enough in practice that I have something to reel back in for matches. And matches, I don't feel like I have to go my 100% pace just to be competitive.
right, just to be in the ballpark. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. So we'll see if we can get there.
Nice. A little tidbit here. I talked about it this morning on my Discord update, but I've switched up my grip a little bit. I got this new callus right here on my thumb. You can't see it. It's right there. Look at that bad boy. Never had a callus there before. New grip, new callus. Anyway, it's
That's
pretty interesting.
that's crazy to me that you've been in the sport long enough for you to completely change your grip in a way that
Mm-hmm.
that you're finding like a new place for it to rub, because maybe I just don't have enough stick to itiveness, but I've messed with trying to change my grip before and it's just like no freaking way. Like it is what it is at this point. Like there's no,
Yeah.
it just like I'm not like changing. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I've
So
been
the fact that you did,
experimenting
it's kind of
the
cool.
with the grip and trigger press quite a bit in the last few weeks. So it's been really interesting. And some of it is sticking,
Yeah,
obviously, because I have a callus in a place that I've never had a callus before on my hand. So yeah, that is pretty
yeah,
interesting after 6 years of shooting to have a brand new wear point on your hand. It's a little strange.
yeah.
Anyway,
With not going to like a new gun, right? Yeah,
right. Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
so Wyoming's cool. I freaking love the state of Wyoming. I spent a couple days fly fishing. I went over to Du Bois or Dubois, however you want to say it. They say it Du Bois. French would be Dubois. Uh, kind of went into the backcountry a little bit, as far back as I could drive, and uh, honestly was just a little scared that I was going to get eaten by a grizzly bear for most of the time. But found some fish. I was able to catch some fish, and so
This is
that
just
was
you
fun.
by yourself?
Yeah, by myself. I
Nice.
slept in the car. I will like I had a tent. My excuse for not sleeping in the tent, one, it was after dark by the time I quit driving, and two, I got out of the car and like immediately got swallowed up by mosquitoes, and I was
Mm,
like, I do not want to set a tent up and just have mosquitoes all night,
yeah.
because my it's a floorless tent, so they like I couldn't. I think they would have got in almost assuredly, because they got in my freaking car. But honestly, I slept in the car because I was a little bit scared. I didn't want to get eaten, and
Yeah.
and
Fair.
I was way freaking back there. So I slept in my car, and that was not fun either. But oh well, we made it. We survived. Caught some fish. That's cool.
Hey, sounds fun.
Yeah. All right. Area 3 is our next upcoming match. Between Jeff and I are
Yeah.
shooting it together. This is honestly this is a match that's kind of been circled on the calendar for a while. This is our single stack raid, so we are encouraging anybody and everybody to shoot single stack of this match. We would love to just pump those numbers up as much as we possibly can, just to kind
Hmm.
of randomly have a match. It's a little bit, if you're shooting open nationals, I would get why you would not want to shoot single stack basically a month before open nationals. But
Right.
otherwise, if you're not shooting that match, like it's far enough away from any of the other nationals or anything like that, like that you could shoot single stack, and I don't think it would hamper your season in any sort of way. And it'd just be cool to have single stack, like just kind of like, hey,
Yeah.
why are there 40 guys shooting single stack at this match?
Yeah. And so a couple points to touch on here. If you're shooting CO or LO, you got no reason to be shooting those this
Nope.
year anymore. So grab a single stack. Billy's in the comments here and says there's a Rock Island 1911 on Palmetto for $2.99. So go grab one of those. Go grab you a
Yeah.
Rock
It's like a
Island
throwaway gun.
throwaway gun. You could just leave it at the range.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no reason to be shooting CO or LO. Also, if you're shooting production's kind of dead. So you might as well shoot single stack anyway. So again, go get you a $2.99 Rock Island or a nice one and just stay in the division because you know why.
Yeah.
But that's what we're doing. Area 3 single stack raid. We haven't pumped it up enough, but you're going to be hearing about it every episode from here till then. Oh look, Mike is in.
He says keep the Rock Island in your range bag in case a bolt comes out of a fault line and nobody has a hammer. You can just use that Rock Island as a hammer to put
Oh
that
yeah,
stake back in the ground.
they make great
That's
hammers.
legit to me. Yeah.
So single stack raid,
So yeah, sign up
Area
for single
3,
stack.
do it. Because also Jeremy and I are going to be there, and John McClane's going to be there. So it'll be at least 3 single stack GMs. Is there
We
any other
got
GMs?
Yep. I haven't looked at the squad lists in the last
Yeah.
probably month. So I haven't looked to see who all signed up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be a
And
classifier. You'll count as a classification match, as far as I know. Having 3 GMs, that should
well,
be enough to make it.
they have to shoot within like 95 or 90% of each other too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's gonna be good because the three of us are squatted together, and
yeah,
so we're gonna have a good competition, getting some good match pressure before nationals going.
yeah. I'm really looking forward to that match.
Yeah.
The There are other couple of the reasons why I'm looking forward to that match. One, it is also race day, Saturday morning. We shoot in the afternoon on Saturday. Saturday morning before the match, Jeff and I are finally we're going to throw down with our races.
Yes.
I've been calling Jeff slow for a long time. Like it's been a long time since I've been calling Jeff slow, and he finally has acquiesced to a foot race. And it's what we're doing is we're doing a race at 100 meters or 100 yards, 400
Meters.
yards, 400 meters, sorry, and then 1600 meters, so the mile. So we'll get a sprint, a medium distance race, and for Jeff, a long distance race.
Oh god,
in the
it's so
mile.
long. Dude. Oh, wow, it is so long.
So I think that'll be interesting. I know Jeff has run at least a little bit.
Yeah.
In that,
I've been
so
trying,
he'll be prepared. I think. I don't think he has a chance at a mile. I don't like. I think that's going to be tough for him.
Right. That's exactly what I want you to think. But the one of the interesting things is we're gonna do that Saturday morning, and then we're gonna go shoot. So we might just accidentally create a whole new sport out of this, like a duathlon kind of deal, right?
Yeah,
right?
I think that's If other people want to come, like be involved in it, like that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, I think some other people are going to be there. We got to find a good track. I have not found a track or a place to run yet. So if you're listening and you're from around the area, Grand Island area, and you know of a good place, like a country road or an actual track would be awesome because
So I was assuming we were going to find a high school that had like a track, and either we'll hop the fence or it'll probably be available, was my guess.
I hope. That's what I would love to do. That's what I want.
Yes.
That will also be good for the footage that we need to collect.
Yes.
On our project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the race is interesting. I don't think Jeff has a chance at a mile. Even if he just sucks it up and suffers, I don't think he has a chance at a mile. But at 100, I'm not a super fast sprinter. So I think Jeff definitely has a chance that like he could definitely I really don't know if he's fast in short distances. Like if it's if it's Lord of the Rings dwarf kind of thing. Like if he's fast if he's a natural born sprinter, he might be.
Well,
I am not.
Let's give some stats real quick. All right. So like what's your total height, inseam? Give us some measurements. Give us some stat and weight.
6'2", 175 to 180. That's that always fluctuates, right? 34 or 36.
Okay.
Inseam.
Gotcha. Okay, so I actually haven't weighed in several weeks, but I am 5'11". Last time I checked, about 190 and 34 inch inseam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I should definitely in a longer distance. I should beat Jeff. I have more of a runner's build than Jeff does. I mean, that's just fair, right? Like I'm not throwing shade. If this was a squatting competition, I'm losing every time. There's a reason why I didn't challenge Jeff to who could squat the most. Like that's just, I'm going to lose that.
I did try to throw in like a 225 deadlift max reps at the end of the run.
Jeez. I don't even know if I could get one. Like, honestly, legit, I don't know if I could do one. I don't know. I don't think I've ever deadlifted 225 pounds in my life. So I have no idea.
It's going to be a good race either way.
So yeah, so I think I will get the mile. The 100, I have no idea. And the 400 is a distance that you could legit just, like, somebody can just suffer there. Like, if they're willing to suffer, they can suffer through a 400 and lay down a pretty salty time there, right? So then, even if
I'm going to be suffering in the 400,
I mean, yeah, you're gonna be huffing and puffing, for sure.
Yeah.
It depends on how hard you push me, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. You might be able to lay up and win it. That's true.
Well, I really don't know. I don't think so. I think you're gonna have enough adrenaline going. You're probably gonna take all sorts of pre-workout. You got
sure.
You got those smelling salts that you're probably gonna be like.
Yeah.
You're gonna hit them like 200 yards into the 400. You're probably gonna hit some smelling salts.
Yeah. I'm just gonna carry it with me.
Yeah. So then at that point, Jeff could legitimately win if he wins 2 out of the 3 races, which we haven't defined what is winning or not.
Yeah.
But I guess if somebody wins 2 out of the 3, then that's kind of game over. So
maybe
that'll be entertaining.
Like, we could combine the running with the actual match, right? Like, maybe the match also counts for 1.
Well, then that's a 4. That could be a 4. That could be a 2-2 tie.
Yeah. If you won the mile and won the match, then it would be a draw.
Okay. I think there will be an audience there. I at least know of at least one person or 2. I don't know, at least 2 people that will be there to witness the race. So if we can get logistics and we know where it will be, it'll be early in the morning Saturday.
Yeah, before breakfast.
Yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna go run. We're gonna get up. We'll go run, and then we'll go eat breakfast, and then we'll go destroy each other on the range.
Yeah,
it'll be great.
It's gonna be awesome.
My goal is to have. Yeah, Area 3 is a huge deal. My goal is to have Jeff drink as many margaritas as possible Friday night. Like, if I can accomplish that, and like if we can kind of if you can kind of pull off what some other friends of ours that we visited Friday night before Area 3 last year, if we can get you to pull that off, that would be ideal. And that they were up quite late, indulging in some whiskey and some bourbon.
Right. I don't think it's going to happen.
Probably not.
I probably won't drink at all.
Oh, that's not even fair.
I gotta give myself every edge I can, man. Okay.
Hey, yeah. I say go for it. The other thing that is truly why Area 3 is exciting this year. This is really what we want to pump up and put out. Jeff has his little money pot, right? Like, Jeff has been collecting money from every miserly way that he can possibly milk money out of people. He's been doing that. And you guys have been aware of this. He's the loot goblin, as Billy says. He is the loot goblin. And Jeff actually did not spend that on his crack house. The guy, that's what I think everybody's assumed. He was spending all that money on his crack house. He has not. Yeah. He has actually squirreled it away, and so we have some money, and so our plan is we have hired a what would you call him, Jeff?
He's I guess like a media producer.
Okay, media producer, videographer.
Yeah, videographer would be good. That would be good.
Okay. We've hired a videographer to come, and basically we want to create a video surrounding the match and professionally produced and create that. We really wanted to do it for nationals. That was really our goal. And the guy that is doing this for us he simply could not do that week. It just was not a possibility. There's absolutely zero way he could do it. So Area 3 was the next best thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what,
Yeah, it's
Jeff,
gonna
what do
be
you have envisioned for that video?
so it's probably gonna be a 15 to 20-minute production. It'll be released on the YouTubes, on the podcast page. It's really tough to say what the structure is going to be, because I don't really have a way that I wanted it, that I pitched it to him. I just kind of told him we're doing this match. I kind of gave some examples of other people having videos produced on, like, road to nationals or road to this big competition, and they document the whole journey, whether it's like day of or weeks leading to. Now we're not planning on doing like weeks leading to. As we get closer, I don't know, that could change. I don't know. He might want us to do some individual B-roll footage by ourselves, but he's going to be traveling with us, lots of footage the whole time, putting it all together, making you feel something. He was really excited about making a video that like made you feel something. So it's going to be a bit more than just like, this is what USPSA is, kind of deal. Yeah. So I don't exactly know what the format is going to be, but I know the guy doing it. I know how talented he is. I know how passionate he is. And I am super excited about what we're going to be able to bring to the space, because as far as I know, this will be one of the first pieces of media or video produced of this kind for shooting matches, for shooting competitively. I kind of imagine it in like a really well made documentation of like a hunting trip might be, something like that. But I really don't know. I mean, I kind of left the script open for him as far as what he wanted to make, just from other stuff that I've seen him do. So we'll see what happens, but I know it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah, so my hope for the video, and I haven't talked with the guy at all. Jeff's the only one that's talked to him. My hope for the video is that it is nothing like the majority of match videos that are out there, which are simply, here is my stage 1 through stage 12, and here's how I finished. Right? Like that's really kind of the majority of it is, and those are fine. Like those have great value. Those are great, and those are normally just self-produced, right? I hope that it's a good race for us. I hope that that's what it is. Like that the competition is really kind of, that there is this race going on and there's that competition. I hope that that's part of it, but maybe it's one of us just stomps the other one, and it's almost chronicling one person getting upset, frustrated, mad, whatever, and one person just reveling in glory, and just maybe it's just chronicling that.
That's kind of the open end of the script, right? It's like, we can say we want to make this video, but we don't know how the match is going to go. We don't know how the weather's going to go. We don't know how our health is going to go. We don't know if Jeremy's going to pull a hammy during that race.
Yeah.
Anything could happen, but whatever happens, it's going to make a great story. It just is.
Yeah. I think so. I think it'll be cool. There's some things that I could see going wrong that I just don't want to jinx ourselves and say them. There's some things I could see going wrong that would be not great. But like having John McClain on our squad, like we have a really great squad. So I think that's, I look forward to that. Like there's gonna be some great B-roll and stuff like that going. So I really look forward to that stuff as well, which should be great.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
be looking forward to that for when that comes out. I don't, obviously we don't know when. I don't know what turnaround time will look like on that, but we'll be talking about that, and hopefully that will be something cool that comes out.
Yeah, I would probably. I mean, I don't imagine it'll take a super long time. I could be wrong. I know that the guy doing it, he does a lot of side gigs, so I know he knows how to crank out uh media. Like he knows how to finish products and get them to the market kind of deal. So if I had to guess, I would look for it at the end of August or sometime in September.
Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic if we could get it out there with that. That'd be great. So, yeah, Area 3 is going to be bussing. All right, Jeff, listener questions. We've got a few of those we'll get to tonight.
Yes, but first, let's do shout outs and Shooters Connection.
Yes. All right.
Go ahead.
The show is sponsored. I'll do the Shooters Connection. The show is sponsored by Shooters Connection. They have one of the greatest sponsors in our sport. They sponsor hundreds of matches every year. They have almost anything you need product related. They have it. I actually have an order that I need to finish placing. I want to get some of those. I think Double Alpha makes them, like the dry fire mags. I think they're like purple, right? That they're weighted like a full mag would be. I dry fire my shop that has concrete floors, and so it destroys real mags. Like they're just going to get destroyed, and rounds pop out and fly out. So I actually want to try some of those Double Alpha dry fire mags, and I'm pretty sure I haven't looked. Last time I looked, they had them, so I need to look and make sure they still have them. But of course, you need pasters and all the consumables. They have those parts for your guns. They have them same day shipping. They're super fast with that. They support the sport. We should support them. And there's a link in our description that helps show them that you heard about them through us, which helps us out a lot if you could use that.
Yes, sir. And now for shout out. We got a shout out from the one Billy McScrublord.
Whoa! We got a new Patreon tier 2.
He has rejoined the shout out crew and is listening live now. And he's typing. Okay, here we go. Shout out to the number one Joel Park fanboy Instagram account, Mac and Pood. It's me. I am Joel Park's number one fanboy. Oh, he also says I was the OG Pay Piggy, which is true. He was the first person in our tier 2 Patreon. So Billy in here as always, supporting us. We do appreciate it, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
And all you Patreon folks, just so you know, like those funds are going towards this video production, and they're going towards paying for software that we desperately need to keep doing this. So thank you all for your support very much.
Yeah, if anybody wants to just like help support the video, like you could send Jeff money. He actually will put that towards the video. It won't all go to his crack house. But like you could just join the Patreon tier 1 or tier 2, either one. The tier 1 is I think $2 a month to join our Discord, which is I enjoy the Discord. There's lots of really valuable content in there. There's also a lot of just entertaining content in there as well. So if you want to support the video, if you want to see more stuff like that in the future, that is a way that we can help. Hopefully it's going to be awesome, but that's a way that you could help make that happen in the future.
Yep. Yes. So thanks everybody that does support us. We do appreciate it. And we do try to do good things, productive things with the money. It's not being blown. I'm not putting it in my pockets. Not using it to get to matches. It's all going back into the podcast. It's going into the hats that we put out. It's going into pretty much it's all going into this video at this point because that stuff costs money.
Yeah. Were there any
That's
other
it.
Patreons? I didn't see John has them with anything.
No more Patreon shoutouts.
All right, questions.
Let's do it. All right, here we go. So I said we were going to be recording tonight in the Discord, and someone mentioned that we should probably answer questions because some of these are a year old, and they're not wrong. This one that we're answering is from August 1st last year. It's almost
That's not quite a year. It's not a year.
It's not a year. Doesn't count.
That's right.
All right, so we're just gonna jump through some of these and see what happens. How much time we got now? Oh, damn, we're already 45 minutes in.
Yeah.
All right. Advice on choosing a gun. I've gone back and forth between a Shadow 2, Walther Q5 SF, and now a Beretta 92X Performance. I like all three, but need to decide on one to focus and practice on. Did I mention I also have a PDP that is pretty sick? Help. You want me to answer
Mike
first?
in our chat says clearly the answer is a 1911. I agree
Yeah.
with Mike.
That's what I was
Clearly,
gonna say.
the correct answer would be a 1911. For me personally, if I was choosing between those three guns, it'd be a Shadow 2. Like that. That's just what I would go with between those three.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what would you be? Yeah, okay, because yeah. But what would your be advice to just anybody on choosing a gun?
Like they're just like totally new to the sport, so it's almost any gun, any division.
Or like, yeah, but like what metrics do you use to choose a gun?
In all honesty, like I would probably, if I knew somebody that was getting in the sport, they didn't have just tons of money. If money is no option, then just go straight custom gun, right? Like forget all the rest of it. Let's just jump in with both feet and build a custom gun. But I would steer people probably pretty hard towards the Canik steel frame. I haven't heard anything bad about the steel frame version yet. Sometimes maybe there can be a challenge jumping from polymer to steel just in your engineering. I have not heard anything about them having issues with the steel frame. And like that's a gun where you can take, I assume that you can get it optics ready. I don't even own one of these guns, but I assume you can get it optics ready where you can go production to carry optics or limited optics, whichever one you want, simply by changing out the rear sight plate, or you just buy two different guns, one irons, one carry optics. I think if you go straight carry optics, you're hitting a little bit of an easy button, right? Like you have tons of rounds, like missing on steel is not a huge penalty. You don't really have to learn how to aim a whole lot because the dot does that for you. And so you get it, like you kind of get an easy button into that. At the same time, you can learn a lot of speed and a lot of efficiency with a dot that's going to take a lot longer with irons. So you could take a gun like that and you could jump back and forth between irons and dot if you wanted to within the first few years. I'm not talking about doing that every week, but within the first few years, you could have a gun that would be very easily competitive in both. It doesn't seem like you have to do a lot to the mechanics to make them really nice. Like a little bit of work on the trigger, from what I've seen, you can make a really nice gun with a little bit of work on the trigger and have a really, really nice gun.
Yeah. So picking a gun, if you've tried all those guns, you have all those guns. I would probably choose the one that was the most reliable, meaning you've done some searching and talking to people, and you know that these guns break the least amount from from guns. And then secondly, I would look at like ergonomics and be like, which ones fits your hands the best, which one is most conducive to fitting your grip. Everybody grips a pistol a little bit different. Grip modules and grips are all built a little different. So which one fits the best? Which one do you not accidentally hit your slide release or mag release? Those things. So take those into account. Of those guns, I think the Walthers I've heard the least amount of breakages from. You hear a lot of issues with Shadow 2s, I think. I hear a lot of issues with Shadow 2s breaking. I see a lot of Shadow 2s choking. But that could be because people are jacking with them. You don't really know.
The Shadow 2s have really tight chambers, like, and the barrels are harder than a file. Like I've had a couple in the shop that people wanted me to ream it, and I put a reamer in, and it starts eating the reamer, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to destroy a $150 reamer just to fix one barrel. Yeah. And so then I try to like file the ramp just to make that breakover a little bit easier on them, and it literally ate a file. Even it's like the barrels are incredibly hard and the chambers are really tight. And so yeah, if your reloads are not spot on, perfect and consistent every time, you're gonna have issues with the Shadow 2.
Yeah.
Like that, they are accurate guns. Like you do get, like, there's a reason why they're making them, those chambers that tight. Yeah. But our sport doesn't require chambers to be that tight, quite frankly.
Right. Yeah. So Shadow 2s, I see a lot of them choking. SIG seem to be having a lot of issues recently.
I would have, yeah, the SIG 320 or the 320 X5 Legion, like that would have been a gun that I would have been recommending. But there does seem to be a rash of, the guns are coming apart. Whatever, there's been lots of YouTube debates and social media debates on what's causing it, and honestly, I haven't really dove in. I haven't really dived in. Dove. Haven't really dove in.
Right.
Sorry, went down a rabbit hole. I haven't really dove in on what's causing those things, but there is an issue with them for some reason, that they're coming apart. Like the gun is coming apart, and so that I can't really recommend. I actually have one that I would like to sell. I've never shot it, and now it's kind of like crap. I don't even know if I can sell this thing anymore. But
yeah, not to say there aren't ones firing just fine. There's probably people out there that have never had any issues that have 5 of them.
Yes,
that's fine. Yeah. I'm just going off of the news I see within the sport. People that shoot a lot of bullets, a lot of rounds, what I see. So that's what I'm going off of here. So I'd probably stay away from SIGs. Walther Q5 SF, I don't like the grips. They're short, doesn't work for my hand. I don't have huge hands. I have large hands, meaning I wear a large size glove. A bit too small for me. 92X Performance also seems like those are not built out for the abuse. So
yeah, those aren't made to go the distance.
Yeah. Things I've seen a lot of positive things of, the PDP. I've seen a lot of positives on the PDP. I've seen a lot of positives on both the polymer and steel canic. I did hear from one person that they were seeing issues. I don't remember what the issues they said they were with the steel frame canics, but
okay.
That's the only person, just one person that I've heard said that about the canics. Billy says canic steel frame over insertion issue, so maybe they don't have a way to stop the magazine from over insertion when you change the base pad or something.
Which Henning has a new base pad out that solves that. Okay. He has Henning Group he has a video out now of his new base pad that that solves that issue. And so if Henning
Yeah.
says he's got it solved, I would believe Henning say that he's
Yeah.
got it solved.
Yeah. So, and I'm not telling you what gun to pick. I'm just telling you I'm going through my process, right? I don't want a gun that's going to blow up. I don't want a gun that's going to choke and snap parts all the time. I want a gun that's just going to run and run and run, and people love it, and it's super reliable, and they can't make it quit. So I'm thinking about all that, and those are the guns I'm going to try to see if I can shoot them. I'm not even going to try the other ones because I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to have to buy a gun every 6 months or something like that, you know? Anyway, that's how I would pick a gun.
Yeah, I know some really, really good ideas. And another gun, I hate these guns. I would never shoot one because I hate them. Try a Glock. If a Glock, some people shoot Glocks really, really well. If a Glock fits you and you like it, then go with the freaking Glock and don't go Gucci Glock route. Don't mess with Glocks. Factory Glocks work. When you start jacking with Glocks, the design doesn't. It fails at that point. But if you can shoot a Glock well, then go with that. There's no reason not to.
Another gun that I really want to see some people shooting because I want to see how it works and if it's going to break and hold up is that new Springfield Echelon.
Yeah.
Looks kind of like a Glock, got the grip kind of like a PDP, has a proprietary optics system, what looks like a pretty nice trigger module, so they're going to have lots of grip options. So I'm ready to see some abuse testing on that bad boy.
Yeah, that'll be cool to see how that plays out. That's going to take probably a few years.
Yeah.
For us to really kind of see that happen. But yeah, that one will be an interesting one to watch.
All right, next question. What maintenance should I do for my Shadow 2 beyond cleaning it to keep it reliable? I only have one right now, so if it goes down, then I'm toast at a match. Well, okay.
I don't know if this is a Shadow 2 issue. I know this was like an SPO1 issue. Is slide stops break on those, and I think the Shadow 2 still is that. So you may have, if you only have one, buy a secondary slide stop. Make sure it works well in the gun, and then maybe put the new one in for a match because you don't want to have a catastrophic failure in the middle of a stage at a match. That's what I would for sure be looking at, and then stay on top of your springs at that point. Stay on top of your springs, stuff like your extractor spring and things like that. Like if your extractor spring fails, you're kind of in trouble. So that sort of stuff. Again, I don't shoot Shadow 2, so I'm not a great person to ask about this stuff. But like the trigger return spring is something that's, you end up with a dead trigger. That trigger return spring breaks. So if you're dry firing a lot, you're putting a lot of stress on that trigger return spring. So maybe have a fresh one to put in for a match or couple weeks before a match type deal. That would probably be a good idea.
Yeah, I would say, it's a full metal gun, so I'd keep it wet. My 1911s, I oil every single time I pick it up. Dry fire, live fire, doesn't matter. Like I pick it up, I put oil in it. Full metal gun, I would put oil in it all the time. And also, like Jeremy said, those parts that are notorious for breakage, put a freshie in when it counts. I would do that with my Canics when I was shooting those, not because they had notorious parts, but I broke 2 firing pins dry firing. So once I did that, I was like, okay, well, I don't want that to happen in a match. So then I had match firing pins, and I would just, before I'd shoot a match, I'd put the match firing pin in and go shoot the match. And when I was done, I'd take it out and put my dry fire firing pins back in. So just be conscious of stuff like that. Guns that have parts that are known for breakage and wear. Lots of oil, spare parts, and get a spare gun as soon as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Spare gun is a good way. A gun is even expensive guns are still the cheap part of our sport. Like that.
Yeah, true.
That's the cheapest part of our sport. So don't have a plan to just only ever have one gun. You should be planning on, if you're going to be involved in the sport for any sort of long term and any sport of high level, your plan should be, you should have some plan in place to be getting another gun.
Yeah. All right, I'm looking for one more good one here.
One more.
All right, let's just go ahead and do this one because old Fitz asked this one before off season last year. What are your plans for the off season? So not only can we answer it, but we can actually tell you what we did in the off season because we already did it. So it's almost perfect that we waited to answer this question.
It is perfect. I snow skied a few times. I tried to do that as much as I could. I shot Western States single stack match in February, so that to me that's 100% middle of the off season. So it was kind of just to go again. We talked about earlier about fun matches and serious matches, not a serious match, and so it kind of got me thinking, at least kind of thinking about shooting in the middle of my off season, which was good. I actually will say I'm pretty sure I haven't talked about this on this show. So, we had Ozarks in March, and they really I didn't have a match until this match here in Casper in this Governor's Cup. And so really kind of a lull in the season, and this season's going late because IPSC Nationals are basically Thanksgiving, right? So this can be a long season. So I actually kind of had an off season in the middle, to where what I did was I still went and shot live fire on my normal routine of shooting live fire, which right now is a couple times a week. That's, sometimes maybe 3, but usually kind of a couple times a week. But I did zero dry fire. It was just, hey, I'm gonna still be in this, still shoot and training, but I'm gonna kind of take a break from the I'm gonna do more of the fun stuff and take a little bit of a break from the kind of the stuff that's not as fun, which to me is the dry fire part, and that way I can kind of hopefully extend my interest in the season. And that was actually really good. In all honesty, I think there were some really good dividends, because for me, I have always been the one who, my plan for preparation for anything, whether this was playing a trumpet, whether this is shooting a competition, whether this is doing anything, is your preparation should be to remove any sort of excuse that you could ever come up with. If there's something that could be an excuse, you should remove that from the equation some way, somehow. That's how you get prepared for something. And so that's how I've always trained for USPSA. And so the challenge with that is it dry firing all the time, just constant dry firing, doing all of that. You almost got to a sense where it's like, if I don't do this preparation, if I don't get the dry fire in, if I don't get lots of reps in and all this, then I can't even perform at all. It almost becomes like I have to get this in order to be able to perform. And match day, that's often just, you can't, like, it's just hard. It's just much harder. You're traveling, your hotel, a bunch of people in a hotel, or wherever you're at, really early, start shooting at 7:00 or something, and it's a 45-minute drive. Just oftentimes you can't get that in. And it was actually kind of cool from a perspective, like, hey, I can still perform at a really high level and not have touched a gun for 4 days, and still just come out first stage, set up a stage and run it, and still shoot at a really high level. And so that was actually a kind of a good confidence booster from doing that, which was cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Off season for me, I will usually after like the biggest match of the year, which is usually like the end of the season, right? Like your biggest match is usually the last match or close to it, I'm usually really motivated to train after that match. So even though it's like I'm going in the off, technically it's off season, I allow myself to continue to train until I feel like I don't want to. I don't make myself quit. So that's kind of my taper off technique. Um, yeah, I allow myself to dry fire as long as I want to. If I want to keep getting up at 4 and dry fire, and if I want to only do it 1 day a week, anyhow, it tapers off as the holidays come in and the weather gets colder, things like that. Without a doubt, if I don't have something to train for, it will taper off naturally. So I do that, and then I basically I will not touch the gun for, I don't know. It could be, sometimes the off season's longer than it should be. Dude, it could be 3-4 months. I just don't touch it. Sometimes I regret that, but honestly, like once I get in the zone of training again, it doesn't take long. And I really saw it this year because I came into this season like pretty hungry. Like I want to get good quick kind of deal. And it was like, 8 weeks or something, and I was feeling really freaking good. So I'm not too worried about that now. But yeah, I will not touch the gun from sometimes it's September, October till March, February, March, something
Yeah.
like that. Usually I let the time change dictate my off season. So usually like when the time changes in November, I stop shooting. I stop like going midweek training because it's too dark. I can't do it anyway. And then when the time changes back in March, I can start doing it again. So kind of the time change dictates when I can actually live fire.
Yeah.
Aside from on the weekends. But and then other than that, like I just work out more because I'm still gonna get up at 4 o'clock, like all year. But now instead of having 45 minutes to get a workout in, I've got an hour and 45 minutes to get a workout in. So I can do a lot more other things if I want to work on some calisthenics moves, or I can work on trying to make a big beefy deadlift or squat or something like that. I find different things to work on, but I'm still gonna get up and move and work on something. Yeah, that's probably the main stuff. It's also really great for uh, finances. To take a break from traveling and shooting a bunch, right? Like
Yeah.
imagine the expenses we'd have if we did this all year long, right?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
It'd be rough. So that's kind of my thoughts on the off season. Mike asked us a question in the chat here. Is there a benefit of taking a break mentally and physically, or do y'all just take a couple months off because of weather?
I mean, yeah, the weather's a big thing here because it's like you wake up, it's like, yeah, even if I wanted to go even if I wanted to shoot, the weather makes it such I don't actually want to go shoot. Like that's not going to be fun. That's going to be miserable. So the weather certainly has that effect. And honestly, like the benefit of taking a break for some people, there's a massive benefit in just being able to put the gun away. And for some of those people, it's only 3-4 weeks. Like it's only like a month-long break, and then they're up and they're dry firing and doing whatever just like crazy. It kind of depends on where you're at in your career, in all honesty. If you're new to this sport, like you're hungry, like I feel like that's to me, I think for most people that's like the first 3 years almost. Like, no, don't take a break. Just keep going. Like you're hungry, like you're seeing gains. Like I think you're actually kind of at a detriment to take a break at that point. There's a certain point where your shooting will plateau. Like that's just going to happen. You can only get so good, and it will plateau. And that may not mean that you're not still incrementally getting better. It's just the gains are much, much, much smaller. And at that point, taking a break, your plateau is not going to change. Like you're not losing ground. Like Jeff kind of talked about how it didn't take him long to get back. Uh, Oftentimes, what I find is that a break actually can help you. It just kind of helps you to be able to reset and take a fresh look at your shooting. And because sometimes you get stuck in a rut, like I'm trying to fix this, I'm trying to fix this, trying to fix this. And sometimes a couple of months off, you come back and you kind of just get back to, you're not trying to fix that. You're just trying to shoot again, and you're not trying to fix problems. And sometimes that can be really helpful.
Yeah, I think the mental break is pretty important. Like Jeremy said, once you get a few years in, I don't think I took any sort of off season at least the first 2 years. Uh, Third year, I think I did, or after the second year, I think I did. But yeah, big mental break for sure. Gives you some time to just to think about something else. You know, to channel your drive or your discipline towards something else for a little while. Um, yeah, it's kind of like you beat your head against the wall for so long, and the wall doesn't move. You're just like, why am I doing this kind of deal? It's like, well, let's go beat our head on the desk for a while, and then we'll come back to the wall and see if the wall moves in a couple months. I don't know, kind of that mentality. But oh, I had something else I was gonna say. Damn it.
Well, what you're thinking of that for me, the shooting becomes cyclical, and then it becomes it becomes you start viewing it as seasonal. Like, hey, this I have this season, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have the kind of the ramp up period at the beginning of it. You kind of have the getting back to the competitive part, and then you really have the ramp up to try to, as Jeff said, hopefully your biggest match of the year is at the end of your season, and you're trying to ramp up to that, and it becomes kind of this seasonal thing that you're trying to do, and you really kind of viewing your shooting. At least I kind of do this. I view my shooting as a seasonal thing, and that it's like what am I going to be able to bring to this year's season? I'm not necessarily looking to next year's season. I'm not necessarily looking as an overall career. It's just what can I get done this season?
Yeah. It's also nice from
And so
a family perspective, right? If you can you're planning stuff for the holidays and everything, like your mind completely absent of shooting and scheduling. It's just like I'm all here. I have all my attention. I'm not shooting, nothing. Plan away. Let's go. So that's really nice from a family perspective. And then my final thought on it is a little non-conventional, I think. So you may have heard someone else talk about this. I don't think I have. But when I take breaks, I almost view it as a chance to forget bad habits and also to come back with fresh eyes. So me being someone who didn't do a lot of reading, I guess, studying. I did a lot of like listening and watching in shooting. But a lot of like my shooting development came from me just figuring out what works for me. So taking some time off always allows me to come back with kind of like a fresh perspective. Like I get to figure it out again, kind of deal. And you're kind of building on your past experience, but hopefully you're better at figuring it out this time because you've got some experience on you. You just kind of build on it, but it does kind of give you that opportunity to discover new things because you give yourself time to forget the old things.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of that, and we'll be at least I'll be done. My experiments tend to be seasonal, like season long. Like it's you come into a new year, you think, okay, what do I really want to do better than I've done in the past or than I did last year? What was an issue from last year or whatever? And so then you kind of go into okay, I really want to I really want to make sure just that I'm crushing the gun. And that's going to be my focus all season, that I just absolutely crush the gun. And so then you kind of have this focus in this experiment, and you commit almost a whole season to it. And sometimes that season's good. Sometimes that season's maybe not as good as you want it to be. And you kind of get to the next year, kind of look back on what you were experimenting with, what you were trying with. Like Jeff was talking about, he's got a new grip on how he's gripping the gun this year. Yeah, he's kind of got to play that out for at least this whole season to see, hey, does this work? And by the end of the year, he'll have a good idea. Did that help me shoot better at the end of the year, or did that not? And he can know if he needs to keep fiddling with that, or what he wants to do for the next season. And so I that's at least how I think in terms. I don't know if that's good or not. That's just how I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, like historically, sports science would tell us like you pick the technique or you pick the thing that the most successful person is doing, and that's what you do. But in this sport, it's a little bit different because we don't have like sports scientists so much that are breaking down those techniques a whole lot for us. I mean, there's a couple. Like I would consider Ben pretty much a sports scientist of this sport. Like he's breaking that shit down and reanalyzing different grips, techniques, training, all that all the time. But there's not a lot of people doing that. So we do it for ourselves, kind of like Jeremy is saying. And you pick something and you practice it and you try it, and oh, that was a failed experiment. Try again next year, kind of deal.
Man, it'd be so great if I had a coach and I could just blame a coach when I sucked. Like, dude, I've been doing everything you've told me, and it still didn't work.
Yeah,
I'm
just
firing
pick somebody
you.
else.
Yeah, find a new coach. That'd be awesome. I wish we had coaches. It'd be great.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for the questions, guys. If you do have listener questions, we will get to them at some point. If they're time sensitive, your best bet for us to answer them is to be in the Discord and to ask them in the Discord almost every week before we record. Jeff sends out a message asking for questions. That's your best bet. If you have a time sensitive question, is to put it live in the Discord. Otherwise, you can just send us questions and we will get to them, sometimes quickly. Sometimes it might take a little bit, but we'll get to them.
Yeah, we'll get to them.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and we will talk to you guys later.
Peace.